Do any of you just constantly feel fucking guilty? Feel like no matter what I do, I just feel guilty. It's quite terrible. I haven't been able to make a video or do anything because it seems futile to do it. I mean, even when I go on YouTube and I see that some fucking guy flipping bottles, and it's not even amazing. It flips the bottle and it lands on a fucking can or something. It's mildly impressive at best, maybe. To me, it's not even impressive at all. And the guy gets 4 million likes, I don't know how many views, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. Whereas people who speak their minds intelligently and fluently get usually 0 or maybe a few thousand. But remember, those are the lucky ones. From personal experience, I know that, if I get barely any views, I wonder how many millions and millions of people are out there who get none. Even though they pour their hearts out and they say intelligent things, it's not good enough. Because the YouTube algo obviously favors quantity over quality, short over long, simple over sophisticated. And thusly do we fry our brains to death. So it's been feeling totally futile. Philosophy videos or things like that don't get any views, basically. Nobody really gives a fuck about sophisticated stuff. We claim to be advanced, but it seems that the generations coming up are getting dumber and dumber. Yeah, it just fries your fucking brain. And nothing valuable is happening pretty much on YouTube. So it feels pretty futile to do anything because nobody cares. But that's not what I really care about. I'm just mentioning it because it's there. But for me, it's easy when you're depressed or fucked in the head to distract yourself with other things. So instead of talking about your own problems, you pretend it's the economy which makes you sad. But it's not true. It might contribute to it, but you should address what really makes you sad. And for me, it's just that I have a terrible pain in my fucking bicep. I don't know if I'm dead. It's crazy, just a fucking terrible pain. But anyway, for me, what really fucks me up is just I'm fucked in the head, I'm just fucked, depressed, and autistic. So that just fucks me up. And I constantly feel guilty. I always feel like I'm doing something wrong. If I buy a kid chips or I offer, because there was a kid at the fucking corner store and he couldn't pay for the chips. I guess so. I said, I'll buy it for you, and he just sort of said no thanks. And I just felt like they must think I'm a fucking pedophile or something. And all I wanted to do was buy him chips. So I constantly feel guilty for things that don't make any sense. And sometimes I really do deserve to feel guilty, I guess, depending on your point of view. But for me, it's constant. I feel on edge, uneasy all the time. The smallest human interaction can fuck me up, you know. I experience it as kind of like strikes. You know, the first strike, the second strike, third. And I have these waves of pain each day. And they always invariably come from human interactions. I feel a kind of low dread usually when I'm alone, depending on what I'm doing. But when I interact with people, that's when the pain gets triggered like 90% of the time. Not when I'm alone, because I experience every interaction as kind of blown up, zoomed in on by a factor of 10 or 20, like it's the worst thing that happened in the world. Exaggerated. And I just feel bad. I can hardly go to the store because I take on the vibe of everybody. If I see somebody who's clearly depressed, the cashier or something, I take on their feelings. But even when I don't take on their feelings, I still feel sad or scared. And it's hard to explain exactly why, but I just do. I've always been told that exposure therapy helps. But I never understood that. I've had plenty of exposure. And it's the exposure that made it all bad. So I don't understand that logic. When you expose yourself, you just get burnt. How does that help? I don't get it. To me, in essence, for me, it has never helped. Never helped. It just reconfirmed my biases. Because one thing about being fucked, mentally unwell, whatever the fuck you wanna call it, doesn't really matter what you call it. It's not gonna make it better. People sometimes play those games. If I don't call it that, then fuck you. It doesn't matter what you call it. But so people have this idea that if you're fucked in the head, you can be right about anything. Yes, of course, that's very far from being the truth. Oftentimes, the fucked up people are right. But because they're fucked up, it's used as an ad hominem against them. So when they say something that's true, they get shut down. Well, you're just saying that because you're fucked in the head. Even if you're right. As if, the disposition of your brain chemistry changes anything, As if there's a right and a wrong answer. A right and the wrong way of looking at the world. And clearly there isn't. Everybody's right in their own way. The ad hominem doesn't really work. Because everybody is right in their own way. It's really uncomfortable to sit here. Oh my goodness. Sorry. But see, I'm even fucked up in this way that I can't even record comfortably because I can't find a place. So I can't even enjoy myself recording because it just hurts. As a matter of fact, I'll take a break. Actually, I found this nice place here. It's my phone is on kind of like a little stick. What do you call that? A little growth out of a tree. Fig. Yeah. So I'm just standing here. Might be more comfortable. So yeah, I mean, the stupid have really inherited the earth. And for me, the way I cope is by eating food. And I just, there was a point a couple months ago where I lost like 25 pounds or something, and I probably gained it all back because there was nothing pushing me to keep going. I might have lost 25 pounds, but I didn't gain anything really, except maybe some slight health advantage, but it's not good enough to push you along the road. So you'll be told, keep doing it, it's your fault. And they're right. I mean, everybody can tell you why they're right and why they're wrong. Just because you have autism or a problem doesn't mean you have an excuse. It's not an excuse, it's just an explanation. I think that's a wrong way of thinking about it, that some people have an excuse. I used to think that, but I no longer do. Nobody has an excuse, everybody has a reason why they do what they do. And whether it's justified or not, or an excuse or not, it's just a matter of opinion. You know, if I pick up, hold on. If I pick up a stick, I have the right to drop it. And it has the right to fall. And if I stick it in me, into my forehead, it has the right to stick me, stab me. And I have the right to feel pain. And I can break it in half if I want to. But none of that is an excuse for me to do it. It's not an excuse for the stick to break. It's just a pure cause and effect. It just happens. And you can explain it if you like or not explain it, but there's no justification for it other than the physics of it. You know? I mean, even if there's a right and wrong, it's still just cause and effect. It's only right because it's right. So what? So anyway, so the way I cope, I'm sounding really monotone right now. I suppose it's because I'm just depressed. I can sound a lot livelier too, if I want to. But I would be acting right then. But then again, even that idea of acting is unclear. You're not really acting, you're just doing what you're doing, you know. Is it really acting if I exaggerate myself? No, it's just a different way of talking. Like if I speak monotonously because I feel that way, that's somehow honest. And if I exaggerate it, that's not honest. Well, where's the lie? Everything is already priced in, you know. So yeah, I cope by eating and jerking off and doing all those things. And of course, they're just as depressing as you think, or, you know, as you know. It's not fun. It's fun, but it's not fun. You know, you have days when the food you eat just tastes like shit, but you still eat it. hoping that it will make you happy if you just take another bite. It's just a drug, like all others. Even sports are just a drug. It's not more noble than eating. And you know, I have always admired people who are willing to go out with a bang. I don't mind in the least if people want to go out with a bang. That's their business. I think it's admirable. A longer life is not necessarily a better life. But you always gotta be careful when you say things like that, because you want to push people to go out. But you don't want to be a liar either and say, frankly, I just don't care. If you want to live until you're 100, go ahead. If you don't, that's your business. It's all your responsibility. Because, even if you say, oh, but I'm depressed and other people may be depressed, well, they can just as easily say, well, my father made me. And, my own environment made me, so what are you blaming me for? Yeah. This thing we call living, for many of us these days, it's hardly even living. And you can go on YouTube and you can find all these people talking. And it just breaks your heart that they're so sad. Like there's this 50-year-old Japanese guy who calls himself 50-year-old Japanese man. And people are accusing him of faking it. And they constantly keep telling him, you're not allowed to be depressed. You're not allowed to be depressed. You have a family and a house and a job. It's like you people are so fucking stupid and naive. It's like a 10-year-old's idea of what life is. They heard some fucking propaganda about how if you have kids and a house and a job, it's all gonna be okay. They basically drank the Kool-Aid of the picket fence, 2.5 kids bullshit. And now when they see it in its actuality, they're like, "Whoa, how come it doesn't work? How comes it?" Well, why would it work? That's not magic. It's like going to the gym and expecting that the gym will give you muscles. It's just a fucking room. As Scooby1961 said, it's just a fucking room. Protein shake isn't a drug. I used to lift, so I know these terms. Protein shake is not a supplement. It's just a food supplement, not like an enhancement supplement. It's food. You don't take it. And so people have sort of taken the protein powder as it was magic. With the Japanese man, I mean, how comes it he's not happy? As if he doesn't have a right to be sad. Somehow that right has been stripped away from him because he's a dad and he's no longer, that must be some kind of sexism against men. The old pull yourself up by your own fucking by your own fucking shoes, by your own bootstraps, and don't complain. Whereas it's impossible to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. You need to be pulled up yourself. And I don't know if you need, because I would want to say that you only need yourself. Nonetheless, there's still that moment of recognition that seems requisite to see the flaws in yourself and the emptiness in yourself. the ideology in you was reflected in the other person. You know, it's like Jesus Christ, I mean. You know, he told the man, I don't say this because I'm a religious preacher, I just, you know, I just like Christ. But, you know, he told the paralyzed man at Bethesda, you know, get up and walk. And the paralyzed man made excuses why he can't walk to go to the pool, which would heal him. So Jesus got angry and he said, get up and walk. So even though he cured him, didn't help him up. He required that he do it himself. That might be the correct idea of recognition. And today, maybe why we're depressed is because we don't got no recognition. I mean, how can you people just watch a fucking YouTube video where a guy flips bottles and be impressed by it? 4 million likes. What the fuck are you people impressed by? You know? There really will come a time where it will be inexplicable to understand the younger generations because they're so fucking stupid. And I know people have always said this, yeah, the younger generation. That's not the point. I would never blame just one group of people for something. I'm not stupid. You know? But the younger generation are really fucked. Really fucked. Yeah, I think anybody can tell you that it used to be better in the 70s or in the 80s. Or of course, not everybody. If you lived in the 70s and the 80s in Eastern Europe, you're probably better off now. Or maybe not, really. Not necessarily. Because you know, these numbers, GDP and, you know, Human Development Index and all that kind of crap might tell you something, but it leaves a whole lot to be desired. That's why you can trust these optimists who tell you, look at the charts, bro, everything is better. Well, in some sense it might be, but in many other ways it's not. So give us the full analysis, asshole. Maybe it's a bad thing that GDP is going up because people are only getting sloppier and sloppier and dumber. Maybe it would have been better to keep with a $15,000 GDP instead of a $40,000 GDP. There's just no evidence that the richer people are happier. You know, it might be that the poorest people are the happiest in the world. People who live in tribes, people who used to live in the 70s, because you can look at this. I know you can look at the reports like the Human Happiness Report, and it tells you that Finland is the happiest country in the world. Maybe it is, but it might just be that they give a high score because they didn't want to look ungrateful, you know. Or maybe it's accurate and they really are happy. But then again, you can still spot all these downward trends too, which, you know, the happiness doesn't make up for. And then, you know, if you compared people from the 70s, or the fucking 1570s, and they might come up 4 times as happy. You don't know. I mean, I suspect the happiest people in the world are the ones who don't have any advanced technology at all. Tribes, uncontacted tribes or contacted tribes, people who live a kind of pastoral life. I suspect they're the happiest. I don't think that Japan is happier now than in the previous eras. In the eras of the emperors or something like that, they might be a lot sadder. They probably are. I mean, Japan is just filled with fucking just the worst losers and degenerates, and despite all this glory, Mishima would turn in his grave. And of course the other countries too. I just mentioned Japan because I like it, not because I don't like it. Japan has given us a lot, from anime to literature to just a unique culture. Yeah. And so, yeah, there's just no evidence that we're better off. That's the true fundamental tragedy, or I don't know, one of them. That although there are ripples and waves, the ocean is always the same. It's kind of Chinese philosophy. And the numbers are just so much, the volume is just so much higher, right? The volume of the pain is so much higher with 8 billion people on the planet. Plenty of suffering to go around, but you might say, oh, well, suffering is noble. Well, that's easy to say. It's easy to say. It's a little fortune cookie wisdom. But you be the one to get raped. See how noble it is. I mean, one time a guy made a joke that I was drunk at a party, begging for weed, and he gave me a cigarette. But I said, what do you need in exchange for it? And I didn't know it was supposed to be free. And he said, you can suck my dick. And I got a little scared. And I'm like a 300-pound man. 270, 300-pound man. So, yeah. The world is scary. And I got my own share of pain anyway. The big weight doesn't help, really. It only helps in certain circumstances. But people have different kinds of power over you, like bureaucracy, authority. They gang up on you, I mean, just the other day I got a menacing call from a fucking telephone company bureaucrats, and she was, kind of politely threatening about, you need to pay the bill, and I won't get into the details, doesn't matter, but and she was like, all right, so you have this overdue payment, blah blah blah, and so she was demanding an answer. When are you gonna pay it? In a kind of polite, threatening manner. And I said, hopefully soon. And she sort of chuckled. And then she said, okay, can you do it by the 30th? She just kind of dominates you in this kind of bureaucratic way. I'm never picking up the phone again. I'm trying to eliminate all contingencies. I'm not gonna be fucking threatened by a fucking soulless bureaucrat who chuckles on the phone. Fuck you, bitch. Get a real job, cunt. Whore. Fuck you. And fuck all of your authority figures that fuck with me over the years. Teachers, all that kind of stuff, Fuck you. And I definitely fuck with people too, so, I'm sorry for that too. That's, I don't know. I just hate it when authority figures fuck with you. Fuck authority. Authority sucks. I never understood the point of it. I never had an authority figure where it was like they really helped. They just sort of threatened. They might have pushed me a little, but I would have done it without them. The best, most fruitful work I've ever done in terms of creative or intellectual work has always been on my own. Some asshole would grade me on it. I would, okay, so you give me a C, who cares? I'm gonna write my best stuff after you give me the C. What the fuck does it matter? I mean, one time I was in programming school and I failed out because I just have a slow brain for math, and I could probably do it in my own way, but the way I did it was not good enough for them. It's like, who cares what's good enough for you, cunt? Fuck you. Who are you to decide on the norms on how to code or how to write or how to speak English? It's kind of hilarious to an Indian, I mean Native American, when you have grammarians talk about what's the correct use of English. The correct use of English on a land founded on genocide, like there's something that, like a correct thing can happen on a land of genocide. They would collapse on the floor laughing. What do you mean correct? Was it correct when you genocided us? Was that correct? Is African American vernacular correct? Incorrect? Well, it's correct to its own, unto itself. Just because you're white and you have a lot of money doesn't mean you're correct. Let me get my credit card. Fuck you. Fucking bitchy white people. Fuck you. Oh, my countries are being taken over. Fuck you then. Who cares? Who gives a shit? You think you deserve it? Go fuck yourself. You don't deserve shit. I mean, I really want to see nationalists. If you're really committed to the cause, burn yourself to death. Let's see some action. Self-immolation. I mean, when Mishima tried to, with his group, nationalist fascist group, tried to overtake the government and failed and died by seppuku, I respect that. He redeemed himself. Otherwise, he would have just been a larper, a cringe lord. But he wasn't. He died for his cause. So did Christ, and so did Socrates. So that's what I want to see. Not bitchy white people with a fucking six-pack beer. Not a six-pack beer. Talk about how their countries are being invaded. Like, what country? It's just a series of fucking shopping malls, you cunt. What fucking country do you have? What culture does the US boast? A culture of shit. Actually, when you notice it, those countries who are more pessimistic and have more pessimistic philosophies tend to be a lot more kind of sophisticated, like Japan is sort of despite all of its, doesn't stop it from being full of degenerates, but it is sort of a sophisticated, eloquent country, elegant country, like a deer, whereas a more positive philosophy like the US is just full of fucking 400-pound degenerates, who think they deserve something. I mean, they might as well be kind of bugs compared to the average Japanese person, in terms of their poise and their bearing and their politeness, intelligence, you know. Yeah, sorry, it's just a fact. And Europe and all these white countries might be more sophisticated in a way than, let's say, fucking Nigeria. But that's just social contingency, historical contingency. Nobody could prove, even in principle, that that wasn't the case. 'Cause it's not possible, because you never saw the alternative. I mean, I don't believe in genetic determinism, because it seems to me that it's really the opposite. That the environment determines the genes, because the environment controls what happens, of what can exist in the world. So I would just say the opposite. It's the environment that determines things. And you can say, yes, there's some kind of genetic basis to it, but it's just kind of a simplistic notion to me, that all these fucking genetic things, primary basic qualities, and as if those don't get involved in the relativity of consciousness. It's all too easy to say that science can explain everything, when it can't. I mean, a hammer has as many definitions as it has uses. You just can't explain by saying, okay, and it has steel in it and it is made up of atoms. It doesn't explain anything. It only explains a formal aspect of it. But until you throw it in the world and use it in the world, you don't have a full picture of what it is. So I don't trust genetic determinists who think they can tell us what is what, because they have seen the genetic makeup of something. I mean, what is a banana? I mean, you can shove it up your ass. You can eat it. You can eat it in 10,000 different ways. You can give it as a gift. The fuck is a banana? And if the bananas we eat are genetically modified. So is that a banana or is it a fake banana? It's like, is that a woman or not a woman? It's like, you stupid motherfuckers, you have no idea what you're talking about. People who think they have all I have all the full truth. You should say, I have my own truth. I have my own interpretation of the world. It might be better than yours to explain the world, but it's still trapped in my own psyche, my own interpretation of the world. Don't pretend like you have access to the thing in itself, the God's perspective, because God. All these simplistic fucking answers on what would solve things. Might solve it, but who gives you the right to tell me what the answer is? I don't want to have a communism. I don't want to have a Christian nationalism. I don't want to have anything. I want you to shut the fuck up. Don't tell me what to do and what kind of world to live in. Because I don't accept your premises, that you have the right to impose it. Nobody has the right to impose fucking anything, and they have all the right to impose it, because they can all explain to you why they have the right to do it. So you're kind of stuck with a situation where you have the right and you don't have the right. You can explain it, why you have the right to do it, but you don't have an underlying cause, an underlying reason. You just have your own reason. So yeah, that sounds esoteric, but if you ask me, okay, so fuck you then, drop the bullshit. So then how will you make a society? I don't know. I would probably just make it liberal. But it's only because we lack imagination to make something better work. But you can say that in principle. In theory, it's now dissipating. And there's no fundamental reason why it should stay, even though it's probably the best idea. Give people basic rights and leave them alone. That today is kind of an idea that's made fun of, even though it formed the base of the Enlightenment. It's a very good idea, but it doesn't matter because it's going away. and that was no end of history. History will go wherever it goes, and there is no end to it, and there is no reason to it. We might live in a fascist country tomorrow. Frankly, it's not, it's not less just in the sense that it just happens. It just happens because of some contingency. It's easy for the liberal to say, well, mine is better. But you don't really have a fundamental reason why it's better now, do you? Besides, it depends on the context. If a society could not exist without a fascist state, and there's no point in talking about a liberal one because it just couldn't exist, then you would have to concede that fascism at least works. Or just go down with the ship with your own ideals. That's okay too. But then again, you're imposing on other people. So you always get caught in these contradictions that you really can't solve. Like, in theory, you have all these solutions, but in practice, it all gets muddled up. So, yeah. What else? Psychology. What is a disabled person? I'm apparently disabled. They say I'm disabled. Legally disabled. And I had a conversation with another disabled person, and I told her that I'm disabled too, and she got all offended. Doesn't want to be called disabled. Okay, so what the fuck does that mean? Well, that's completely contingent too. What is disabled is just relative to what the society wants you to do. I mean, if autists ran the society, then everybody who wasn't autistic would be disabled, because they couldn't see the world through the autistic eye. They would see the, they would see the world through these fucking lame, boring eyes of a normal person. When they look at a tree, it's a tree, and it's not a number or whatever the fuck the artist sees in it. Probably sees in it some imaginative thing or a system. And so for us, that would be normal. For you, normal people, you'd be the degenerate idiots who can't come to the table with something more sophisticated, right? So what isn't contingent in this world? Except for that statement alone, that everything is contingent. So you can't really pronounce that fact as a fact. I don't know how to solve that. You can't really solve it. You can pretend to solve it, but there's something wrong. There's something wrong. Maybe it's just the limits of language. I don't know, but you can't say it. It's like the liar's paradox, any of these other paradoxes that can be solved. Yeah. I don't know. Have I babbled enough? Probably wasn't interesting. I went too much into philosophy again. I can't keep it. I can't keep it on a general note. I just can't. I can never make a popular video. Yeah. There. An artistic creation. Oh, I'm an artist. I feel like I'm an artist, but I can't do anything artistic. I can't do anything artistic. For some of us, this is art. If only I had the confidence to express myself better. Because I'm pretty funny, but it doesn't come through in these videos because I'm just standing in a fucking forest. Kind of afraid that I'm not alone. Ghosts. I'm like a child. If I watch like a ghost video, I get scared like I'm 5 years old. Kind of pathetic. Yeah. Is there any other interesting topic one might raise? I don't know. I'm just trying to empty my mind and be honest, but honesty is always dangerous. You never know. Because, if you're really honest, you're gonna say fucked up shit. And the fucking simpletons will take that out of context, or not take it out of context, just even in context, They're just pretending that the truth is pleasant, and so anybody who says the truth which is unpleasant, somehow it's their fault now. That's some of the stupidities of today's fucking shithole virtue signaling society with all of you motherfuckers. I just hate that shit. Well, all of you people think you're good people because you can post on Twitter and you can cancel people. Fuck you. Who the fuck you are to cancel people? Who the fuck are you to cancel people? You really are you haven't earned it. You're just all pieces of shit, aren't you? Except for like 10 of you. Most of you are just lying, dishonest pieces of crap. I can't even watch any political YouTuber. You can't even watch because you know he's just lying. Do you watch Wash, for example? Wash. I can't watch him because every fucking thing he says is just being this pretentious. He can't be honest for a single second. I get the impression that he just puts on a show and he just says all the right things. And if he was honest, nobody would watch him anymore because he'd get cancelled. That's the impression I get. I don't have to prove it, but I'm autistic and so is he, so I kind of can see through him. All this fancy talk and what he really wants to say is, look at that nigga, that's what's really in your head, right? Look at that fat ass, of that character who might be 15 years old, but he can't say that, Yeah, see, now you made me say it. No, I said it. You can't be honest on this fucking planet anymore. Can't say anything honest. Can't say what's really on your mind. Everything has to be pretentious. So fuck you people, I'm tired of it. Fuck you. I hope this is just an age that will go away. Because George Carlin already told us decades ago that this doesn't work. Soft language. Soft language. Shell shock became PTSD. All that kind of stuff. And it's true. Shell shock was a lot more honest, was it not? And that might be a trivial example, but it really is true. It really is true that nowadays morality has been replaced with a kind of virtue signaling where the correct thing to do is to say the right words in the right order. All this liberal lefty bullshit of, and he identifies as this, and his name is this, and we all have to be nice to each other, and he's the POC LGBT. I mean, you people basically know this is a bunch of shit, right? This is just a bunch of kind of soulless corporate horseshit. But you still do it because you have no content in you. You have no original courage, as Bukowski said. So you just fill yourself with these empty fucking formalisms of pleasant rhetoric and I can't say the N-word and I can't say this and I have to say this and fuck you people. You're like bureaucrats giggling in my fucking ear instead of telling me to pay up, which is what she really wants to say, but she can't say it like that. So she threatens you, It's what Zizek called the postmodern father instead of the old school father. The old school father would just tell you to do it. He would impose on you, give you an injunction. And that was wonderful because you could organize a strike against it. You could rebel against it. You could say, fuck you, that I'm not going. Maybe you get slapped in the face. Whatever, that's good. He expects it to be that way. And he gives you, he usually gives you kind of a way out. Like sometimes, I'm sure you had this, where you had to go to bed by 10 p.m., but sometimes you were up at 11 and it's okay and he wouldn't say a thing. That's nice, old authoritarian father. The postmodern father is much worse. That's what we have today. Postmodern father is the one who tells you, it's okay. but I feel bad if you don't do it, or or it's kind of wrong if you don't do it. So now he's blackmailing you emotionally. Now that's much worse, you know. And the fact is, it's just dishonest. It's not. It's not an honest blackmailing. Blackmailing is not honest. If you really wanted to be honest, you would just say it, right? But today we live in an extremely dishonest society. I don't know when. Perhaps never more dishonest before. Never been more dishonest ever. Never been more dishonest. Well, you can't say a single fucking thing without some asshole, losing his mind over it. I just think it sucks. I think it's horseshit. I think it's a lie organized by a bunch of useless turds to pretend they're good people so they can keep exploiting African children in the Congo. Because I do my part. I go to Starbucks, fucking using cocoa that was fucking picked by slaves. But it's okay because it has an LGBT flag on it and I don't say the N-word. Fuck you, bitch. I'm tired of you fucking cunts. All of you dishonest pieces of shit that make up modern society. Fuck you. Eat shit. Like, for example, I don't know how else to explain it. It's just like misogyny is obviously a bad thing. Here's another banger. But when you accuse a writer of being misogynist, like you're basically just accusing him of being honest. Like you read Dazai, right? Which is my favorite novel. I love him, all that stuff. I'm like him. And all these fucking women are on the Goodreads page talking about how Dazai was a terrible misogynist, and it's like he's just saying what all 80% of men think, and it's not that it's an intellectual argument. It's just what they feel. Like they don't necessarily like each other, men and women. They see each other as an obstacle. So when a man describes his honest feelings about this fucking obstacle, this distraction that keeps bothering him, misogynist, he's only allowed to say, and I respect women. When it's like, that's not what you think at all. Point blank, you just don't. No man goes around thinking, I respect women. What you think is, fuck that bitch, fuck that cunt. That bitch has nice tits. I'm sorry, that's the fucking truth. But today's ideology is to pretend that we're good people. That's the number one underlier or index or something to underline, It's this pretension that we're good people. You can get a job, at least a corporate job, where pretending you're a good people, you're a good person. Whereas if you don't perform, you're not up to snuff, they immediately sack you. Right? So all that virtue signaling goes out the window the moment you're not needed. Or the moment the political climate changes. And you people have taken up the corporate soulless soulfulness and have run with it because you're retarded. Because you're stupid, dumb motherfuckers. And you have no originality, no courage, no intelligence. You can't read, you can't write. Fuck you. Wanna cancel me? Fuck you. Blow me. All of you cunts. You're not better. Probably worse. All the 7 guys that you've gone through in your life. Fuck you. And again, to the man, fuck you too. I know you suck too, but in some manner that's more amenable to me because I'm a man. But I know that you suck too. I just have more sympathy for them because I'm similar to them. But to have a girlfriend who pretends to be a leftist and then shits all over you, that's probably happened to some of you guys, man. That's a perfect example. Fuck you people. Virtue signaling fucking lying sacks of shit. Don't pretend like you are infatuated with a man who goes around saying, I respect women. You probably like the one who says, fuck you, bitch, a lot more. Don't you? Just be fucking honest. For once. I mean, when a guy makes a nasty joke or a comment, you just sort of laugh. Because you like it. You're just pretending not to. When the camera's on. And you know, I just like to say, why aren't you shitting on men? Well, because, again, I have more sympathy for them because I'm like them, but also, it's just too obvious what to say, right? I don't like them better. I like some of them, but the ones who impress me. But, you know, I know they're not better, they're just farting and eating machines. 95% plus. I just want some honesty, you know. I am personally offended at all of the dishonesty of society. I am offended at how you have to go to a store and you have, you know, this fucking fake, you know, like children playing a game, you know. I am the cashier. And, you know, why can't I just go in, buy some shit and leave? Why do we need to play this fucking game? Every time I go somewhere, there's a fucking human up to ruin my fucking day. I can't talk to people, I can't deal with humans. But they stand in the way of everything I want. So I have to get through them. So you have to go to this fucking cunt and try to explain your shit to him, and a lot of the time they just are mean to you, you know. And as a sensitive person, there's nothing you can do, you have to deal with it. When you just want to kick them in the fucking face or shoot them in the fucking head. It's probably what they deserve. Fuck you people. Alright, this might be enough. But I might want to stretch it to 1 hour so it looks better. I sort of have the desire to do that. So, what's up with you guys? After that rant, I sort of feel like Louis C.K. coming back from his absence. Yeah. It is what it is. That's a nice phrase. My ear there's something wrong with my ear. I can't hear properly for like a year. And I went to doctors and they don't know what to do. They just said, it's an infection. Will go away, and it has never went away. I can hardly fucking hear. Everything sucks. Everything sucks, everything sucks, everything sucks. You know? That's why you're saying it. No, I'm saying it because it's true. Saying it because it's true. Oh, but he's crazy. He's a crazy guy. Well, I mean, who's not crazy? Who has any kind of merit? You know. Mediocrity. Sanity is just kind of mediocrity. Like, you know, being positive, and it's just kind of lazy and fatuous and, you know, voluptuous. Optimism is voluptuous. You know. I was like, where's my phone? And it's right there. Anyway. Yeah. So there's probably not much else to say at this point. I just wanna wait to hit the 1 minute, 1 hour, because that makes me feel good. Yeah. I've been reading Berserk, so that we're gonna see where that goes. Yeah, I think a lot about anime and manga, the ones I used to watch. It's always on my mind. I don't know why. Yeah, alright, so we reached it, so hallelujah. Whatever.